Congratulations, Penn State fans. You're finally rid of James Franklin. It is going to cost you $50 million to buy out that contract because your athletic director in Pat Kraft got sucked into, oh my God, we can't lose him to USC. But the reason I'm saying congratulations isn't just the fact that you lost to UCLA and Northwestern. No, the reason I'm saying congratulations is the fact that you might actually have a shot of winning now. James Franklin always amazed me because he was a very, very, very good recruiter. And I think for college football, that is 75% of the job. But the other 25%, the actual coaching ability, the game day calling, the leading, the lack of accountability, which he had in spades, yeah, he was horrible at that. And I think back to the guy who really transformed the school that I cheer for, Temple. Al Golden comes in, young, hotshot defense coordinator from the University of Virginia. Temple's facilities are trash. They're the laughingstock. They just got kicked out of the Big East. Their program almost was cut. If it wasn't for one vote on the Board of Trustees, it would have been cut. But they hire Al Golden, and he comes in, and he transforms the program. And why? Because he could recruit. He recruited guys that normally wouldn't go to Temple, and they ended up becoming a respectable program. But his game day calling was brutal. Now, unlike James Franklin, he wasn't baby shit soft. And I can say this as somebody who's baby shit soft, but the constant videos of James Franklin getting into it on the sidelines with students and fans, going to a high school game and, acting like he was Tommy Toughnuts because somebody dare remind him, oh, by the way, you can't beat Ohio State, which he couldn't. Yeah, that got old quick. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't even like Penn State. I've always been a Penn State hater. But for those of you out there, and I realize there's a lot of you out there, today is a good day for you. Today is a great day for you. Ignore the $50 million buyout because Terry Pagula could write that check and forget about it in a heartbeat. The unknown is what you should be focusing on because after what? A decade? Maybe 9, 12 years? Whatever it was with James Franklin, you knew what you were getting. And unfortunately, it is the hope. And as Ted Lasso taught us, it's the hope that kills you. But for my program in Temple, it's like, I'm just happy if we get to a bowl game. There's not a hope of winning a national championship. When you actually have substantial hope of winning a national championship and you come up short year after year and you finish 5th and 6th and 7th, and maybe one year you actually make it, but you get boat race, that's not fun for anybody. That's the hope that kills you. And for Penn State fans, it was the hope. James Franklin, every single year, would get a roster together that gave you hope as a fan, only to come up short. Yeah, look, he was great at beating up on the Hawaiis of the world, I mean, he would run up the score against New Mexico State. But when it came to the big guys, the Michigans, the Ohio States, he always seemed to come up small because he wasn't a very good game day coach. In fact, he was brutal at it. So I think if you were a Penn State fan looking as an outsider who does not cheer for the program, if I was a Penn State fan, my biggest fear would have been that Penn State once again gets into the college football playoffs. They do well enough. They don't actually win the damn thing. The whole goal of being a program in college football, winning national championship. They don't do that. But James Franklin ends up finding some job. Let's just say I'm throwing a team out there that won't have an opening, but let's say it's Oregon. And he finds some team out there and he goes, hey, your agent, can you just float my name out there? I need an extension. And then Penn State would panic and then give him an extension. And he did this a few times where it was like, we can't lose James Franklin, and you absolutely could. I was talking to Tyler Zoli from PHLY. He's a diehard Penn State fan. He went to Penn State, but he's one of those level-headed Penn State fans. And he said, the worst thing, this is after the UCLA loss. He said the worst thing that happened in Penn State was giving him that extension. They should have let him go to USC. If that rumor was real, that USC actually wanted him, let him go to USC. And they didn't. And now they're going to pay $50 million for it. But they also had the luxury of getting the unknown, getting a coach that maybe can coach. Because at this point, the doldrums of Penn State, coming out of the Joe Paterno situation and the Sandusky situation, that is to the wayside. Oh my God, Bill O'Brien, that was his name. Hit thumbs down for that because I forgot. Bill O'Brien did a phenomenal job of turning that program from what could possibly have been a death sentence into back to Penn State. And then James Franklin came in when Bill O'Brien took the job with the Texans, and we've seen what happens. And James Franklin will resurface, at like a Colorado State. He'll resurface at, maybe a bigger program, maybe like I don't know, I'm just throwing names out here, but like a Tennessee, a Missouri. Like, he'll resurface there. And again, he will be able to recruit because that has always been his bread and butter. But getting a James Franklin, what he's going to do, he's going to recruit. He's going to be a horrible game day coach. He is then going to try to parlay any leverage he has into getting more and more and more and more and more money. So for Penn State fans, good on you. Like, I didn't think you had it in you. Honest to God, I did not think the university was going to fire him. I thought that they would have a problem with cutting the check, but I also thought that they would fall in love with this, like syndrome that they have. I don't want to say because it's insensitive, but they would have this like, oh my God, we cannot lose James Franklin. He is our beacon. What happens if we lose? Maybe you win. Maybe you win. I find it hard to believe it's going to go backwards because of the talent that he would accumulate year after year was a winning formula. And I know that I was talking to a Penn State fan today, and she said, I'm a little concerned because all of a sudden it's like a decommit. And I was like, don't worry about that. That happens in every school. Every school, when there's a coaching change with the NIL the way it is, you'll see kids immediately enter the portal. You'll see decommits. Don't worry about it. Penn State still has the name recognition, and there is something special about going to Beaver Stadium. And I know they did the whiteout game, but going there in a big atmosphere, you got 110,000 people just rocking. Like, that is something that a lot of 18-year-olds want to be a part of. So I usually don't chime in on Penn State because I'm a Temple fan and I only watch Temple. Brutal loss, by the way, to Navy. But I think that this was if you're looking at a Philly sports spectrum, I think this might have been the only good thing to happen in the past week. And that is if you're a Penn State fan. Temple losing the way that they did, if you're unaware, they were up beating Navy. They were plus 270. I'm going to tell you right now, I had money on the game because Navy hadn't played anybody at that point, but it's homecoming. Navy's 5-0. Temple had played, Oklahoma and Georgia Tech, but other than that, they're a much improved football team. They're winning, and they ripped a defeat from the jaws of victory. 50 seconds left. They gave up like a 50-yard touchdown run to Navy's quarterback. And then instead of going for one, they end up going for two, and Navy ends up converting, and Temple ends up losing. It really dates back to a missed field goal, but that was the big moment in the game, and it was like, this just caps off a shitty week. We all know what happened with the Phillies, and the Flyers are winless. Oh, by the way, they have the defending Stanley Cup champs on Monday. And so it hasn't been the best week, and I feel like this might be the only good thing you can look at if you are a Philly sports guy that, the reality is, like most people in Philly, you either like Notre Dame or Penn State. This is an example of that. So, I was shocked that they pulled the trigger. Now, as a part of the video, I ask you to please subscribe to the channel. Please, God, hit the button. Hit the button. As soon as I hit 1,000, I'm done, but I feel like I'm pretty close at this point. I'm like 270-ish there, so I feel like every subscription counts, please. And then like, thumbs down. If you're a Penn State fan, let me know what you think about this move. Are you worried? A long time coming. I'm sure you're a little frustrated at the situation of this season because you lose 2 games, you're out, you're done. But are you excited for the future, or do you think that it was a rash move? And what do you think about me being an outsider talking about Penn State? Am I out of line, or was I hit the nail on the head? All right, I'm gonna go eat pizza.